Gentleman from Ohio is recognized. Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Chairman. Agent Strzok, did you provide any information to reporters, journalists, or media personalities about anything related to Trump-Russia investigation in 2016, 17, or 18?
No.
Did the press ever talk to you, Agent Strzok, about this issue? Did they ever come to you?
The Trump-Russia collusion investigation?
Did the press ever come to you? I'm asking first, did you talk to them? I'm asking now, did they ever come to you about anything related to Trump-Russia investigation in 2016, 2017, or 2018?
I received a number of calls from various members of the media, particularly when I returned from the Office of Special Counsel. In every instance, I referred.
Prior to going on the Special Counsel team, did you get any inquiries from the press that you took?
Not that I took. I referred them to the Office of Public Affairs of the FBI.
Have you read the dossier?
I have.
Okay, and you wrote about it too, didn't you?
I don't know what you mean by writing about it.
We got an email that you sent. It should be presented there, or should be in front of you there. I want you to take a look at this. This is an email you wrote to Lisa Page, Bill Priestap, Jim Baker, Jim Rubicki, and CC'd Andy McCabe. Subject line is BuzzFeed's about to publish the dossier. You familiar with this email?
I am.
All right. Says this: comparing now, the set is only identical to what McCain had. Parentheses, it has differences from what was given to us by Korn and Simpson. Did you write all that?
Congressman, let me answer it this way. The first, if I could address the chairman. Over the break, I was authorized by the General Counsel.
Hang on a second. I just want my time stopped if you could. Are you addressing me or the chairman?
I'd like to address the chairman because this is all going to come together in an answer.
Is there a question you want to direct?
No, it's something I wanted to answer your question from earlier based on something I've been told by the FBI.
Wait.
I think I'm aware of what the FBI told you, and you and I will have another chance to talk about that. But right now, the gentleman from Ohio controls the time.
You wrote this. That was the question.
So obviously,
wait. Look at that. Do you see the from?
So Congressman, here's
the from line. Do you see the from line?
Congressman, I do.
It says
and I
Peter
understand
Strzok. And then it says to Lisa Page and a whole bunch of other key people at the FBI. So did you write it?
I did write this.
All right, let me ask you a couple questions about it. It has differences from what was given to us by Korn and Simpson. Who's Korn?
Sir, to answer that question, and I would love to answer that question, and every part of me, and you know why I'd want to answer that question because you have this information.
Who's Simpson?
I have been, sir, if I may, I cannot answer that question.
You wrote about it. It's now public. Who's Korn? Who's Simpson?
Based on direction by the FBI, sir, I am not able to answer questions about ongoing investigative matters.
I just want to figure this out. I want to figure this out, Agent Strzok. You're referencing 3 copies of the dossier. The BuzzFeed copy you have, the one John McCain's staff gave to you, and the one that you said you got from Korn and Simpson. The one McCain gave to you and the one BuzzFeed has are identical in your words, but they have the Korn and Simpson one is different.
Sir,
this is kind of important.
It is important, and I want to answer your question. And here's the position that I'm in, Congressman. I have been directed. May I answer your question?
Mr. Chairman, may the witness be permitted
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Jordan repeatedly asks a question, doesn't let him answer it.
The gentleman from Ohio controls the time.
I have been directed that I may state that I have read the dossier, that I read the dossier as it came in parts and pieces.
You've already told me you read it.
And
I want to know who Korn and Simpson are.
And, sir, what I'm telling you is that I have been directed I may not state the various places where
let me ask you this. I got it. I know what you're saying. Did you ever communicate with David Korn?
No.
Did you ever communicate with Glenn Simpson?
No.
Did you ever communicate with Nellie Orr?
No.
Did you ever communicate with Bruce Orr?
Yes.
When did you communicate with Bruce Orr?
My recollection is somewhere between 3, possibly 3 or 4 or 5 times in the late 2016, early 2017 timeframe.
What did you talk about?
We talked about investigative matters that Mr. Orr was involved in.
Did you talk about the investigation we're focused on here, Agent Strzok?
My direction from the FBI is that I may not answer that question, sir.
I got it. Let's go back to the email that you sent that you won't talk about. Are there 3 copies of the dossier as evidenced by what you said in this email?
Sir, to be clear, I want to talk about this email. I want nothing more than
all
answer
you
your question
want, but you're
because
not
it would leave
talking
you
about it. You're
sadly
not answering my
disappointed.
questions. Are there 3 copies?
3 copies of what?
The McCain copy, the BuzzFeed copy, and the one that you got from Korn and Simpson.
Sir, the most I can say is we received a variety of copies of and different types of
Let me ask you one other
reports
question.
from
Let me
Steve.
ask you one other question. Glenn Simpson testified in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee on August 22nd, 2017. He was asked, did anyone from Fusion ever communicate with the FBI? His response, no. No one from Fusion ever spoke with the FBI. So here's what I'm having trouble understanding. If Glenn Simpson says no one ever spoke with the FBI, how is it that you got a copy of the dossier from Simpson?
Sir, I can tell you I never had contact with Fusion, with Mr. Simpson, with Mr. Korn. And again, sir.
Chairman, regular order.
The gentleman will have a few more seconds since he was interrupted.
Well, I mean, this is the frustration that every single member of this committee feels is when Agent Strzok won't answer, well, more importantly, the American people feel when Agent Strzok won't answer fundamental questions like the guy he references in an email, Korn and Simpson, and won't tell me who they are. This is unbelievable. But that's where it's gotten to now, and it's as frustrating as it can get, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Mr. Chairman, may I respond?
Briefly.
Sir, it is as frustrating to me as it is to you. I can tell you, sir, that I would love.
Well, you know what, Agent Strzok?
Mr. Chairman, may the witness be permitted to answer.
If it's so, if
Gentlemen will suspend.
If it's so frustrating, answer the question.
If you'll allow him to, I'm sure he will.
He has never answered the question who
Stop
Korn and Simpson
interrupting
are.
him.
We're about
The
to,
gentleman instruct the
about-
gentleman from Ohio to stop badgering and
we're
allow him to answer the
about,
question.
we're about to move on. The gentleman from Ohio's time's expired. And we're about to move on where Mr. Strzok can answer a question that he refused to answer earlier on advice of counsel. And I'm going to yield to Mr. Gowdy for the purpose of doing that right now.
Mr. Chairman, before Mr. Gowdy starts, may I respond to Mr. Jordan?
Very briefly.
Very briefly, sir, I would love to do that. There is an appropriate time for oversight, and as you well know, that is at the end of an investigation once it's concluded. I am certain Congress will absolutely have the opportunity to look at any investigation once it's closed, ask all these questions, and I would love to answer each and every one of your questions
Mr.
once
Strzok,
the FBI allows me and the
we already
investigation
know
is
that
done.
answer from you, and you have already been advised that you can answer the questions here, because guess what? This is the United States Congress where you're testifying, not under the jurisdiction of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And
Mr.
for that
Chairman, we cannot be asking about an ongoing investigation that is sabotaging an ongoing investigation by this committee, and that's what he's not cooperating with, and we should not do it.
It is
and he
not-
cannot cooperating with that.
These questions are table-setting questions regarding the formation of this, and he can answer those questions, but
Cannot answer
he's
questions
been
regarding an
advised by
ongoing
the FBI
investigation.
that he can, and so Mr.
He's been
Gowdy's
advised by the FBI that he cannot.
no, he's been advised that he can, and Mr. Gowdy's going to again ask his question.
Gentleman from Ohio has asked for 15 seconds.
So, Agent Strzok, who's being square here? Glenn Simpson says no one from Fusion spoke with the FBI. You say in your email, we got a copy of the dossier from Simpson.
Mr. Chairman,
being square?
regular order.
We will have regular order, and we'll revisit that question. Now the chair recognizes the gentleman from South Carolina.
Agent Strzok, between July 31st, 2016 and August
Mr.
the
Chairman,
6th.
regular order.
This is regular order. The gentleman refused to answer the question earlier. He has now been advised, and I have been advised by the FBI that he may answer the question that was in order earlier, and he's now going to answer the question.
But, Mr. Chairman, Republicans have controlled the time. Now the time goes to the Democrats.
The gentleman will be recognized shortly.
Agent Strzok, between July 31st, 2016 and August 6, 2016, how many witness interviews did you conduct as part of the Russia-Trump campaign alleged collusion investigation?
I don't recall, and I'd have to check the case file.
We waited all that time for that answer?
Yes, sir.
That's eerily similar to what you said a couple hours ago.
Sir, I am telling you, and I would reject the characterization that I refuse to answer anything. I want to answer these questions.
Well,
I'm
I
going
just
by
asked-
the
I just
direction
asked
that I
you one.
received from the FBI.
I just asked you one, and I'm looking for a number.
Sir, and
I'm
my answer
looking
is
for a number.
I do not know without the opportunity to check the case file.
You don't recall in the first week of an investigation that you originated, approved, were the contact person on, you don't recall how many witness interviews you did in the first week?
Sir, I remember that there were interviews conducted. I do not know when they fell on a calendar to be able to tell you whether they were
When's the
in
last
any
time
set
you
of
looked
data
at-
or the other on something that was occurring in the context of a myriad other responsibilities.
When's the last time you looked at the file, Agent Strzok?
Probably going on a year.
For those of us who happened to look at it yesterday, would you disagree that the first interview took place on August the 11th?
I don't know, Congressman. I cannot answer that.
Well, prior to July 31st, 2016, how many witness interviews did you conduct as part of the Russia-Trump campaign alleged collusion investigation?
None.
So none before July 31st, which would be none at the time you said what you said in that text on July 21st.
I don't understand the text you're referring to.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. This is on our time.
Well, no, there are two more questions he didn't.
All right.
He wouldn't answer.
The gentleman will continue.
Between
Can you
May
explain
17th.
why he can continue in our time?
He can he's not on your time.
Not
It's
my
on-
personally,
it's on-
Democratic
It's
time.
on our time because he was advised earlier by the FBI that he could not answer the questions, and now he's advised that he can. So the questions will be asked and answered.
Between May 17th.
Parliamentary inquiry. What rules are we following that would dictate such an answer by you, Mr. Chairman?
We are following the rules of the committee.
Could you cite the rule?
No.
No.
Gentlemen will proceed.
Just, Mr. Chairman,
Gentlemen
point of
will-
parliamentary
Excuse me,
inquiry.
this seems to be well.
We're going to, the Democrats'
Mr. Chairman, point of
obstruction
parliamentary
this hearing
inquiry.
can continue, but when you do, and the FBI tells him he can't answer a question, and then they change their mind and says he can, we're going to take the time out to do that, and then we're going to continue.
Mr. Chairman, point of parliamentary inquiry.
The gentleman
Democratic
from South
members of this
Carolina
committee have a
is
right to
recognized.
know what the rules are in governing this hearing.
The
Because
gentleman-
can you share with us
the
these
gentleman
secret rules
is not
that
in
you're
order.
making up as you go
Gentleman-
along?
Agent Strzok, between May 17th, 2017 and May 18th, 2017, how many interviews did you conduct as part of the special counsel team?
I don't believe I conducted any.
Between May 17th, 2017 and May 22nd, 2017, how many witness interviews did you conduct in that 5-day period?
Well, so you just went back a year from 2018 to 2017, and I don't know.
2017, May 17th, 2017,
Okay.
May 22nd, 2017.
Yeah, I believe you may have said 18, but 17, I don't know.
Whether I did or not, it's the 17th, 2017.
Fair enough, and I don't recall.
Well, Chairman, I appreciate you letting me make that clear. And again, the context when you would not answer it was you used the word impeachment on May the 18th, 2017, and you used the word impeachment on May the 22nd, 2017. And your testimony is you can't recall a single interview you would have done as part of that investigation that was supposed to lead to impeachment. And I think that line of questioning, I'm glad the FBI finally realized it, albeit a couple hours too late. When you are prejudging not just a result, but a punishment, which is what impeachment is, when you are prejudging the conviction and the sentencing, when you have not conducted a single solitary interview, I'm sorry, Agent Strzok, but that is letting your bias impact your professional judgment.
Mr. Chairman, may I respond?
Briefly.
Sir, so look, I never prejudged anything. Not in this case, not in any others.
Impeachment
Second,
for what,
Mr.
Agent Strzok? Impeachment for what?
Second
after
of
all
all-
Order, Mr.
that?
Chairman.
What are the
Not
rules
letting the
here?
witness
Mr.
answer
Chairman, what are the
question.
The
rules?
gentleman will
He's
allow
opened
the
up a whole
witness
new
to
round of
answer the
questions.
question, and then we'll move on.
Second,
He was given time to
Second,
respond, and
the
now he's
notion, at the time I was the deputy assistant director, I have section chiefs, unit chiefs in the field, supervisors, agents, people who typically do interviews, not me. If something is notable or high level, I might be involved, but it would be rare, if never, that I would typically get out there and conduct interviews, first of all. Second, you mentioned the use of the word impeachment. That was used in the context of my not knowing what this would lead to. I was not prejudging impeachment. When I used that term, it was saying
Agent
it might
Strzok,
do nothing.
please.
It might lead all the way
Thank
to
you,
something on the
thank
other.
you, Agent Strzok.
Agent
The
Strzok,
chair
are you
now
kidding?
recognizes the gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Clay.
Thank